Welcome, everyone, to tonight's plenary worship. A reminder that this event is being recorded. Only the presenter will show in the publicly available recording. But this event is also being live streamed with a private link to gathering participants to watch during the gathering. And if you'd rather not be in the live stream, please turn your camera off now. If you experience technical difficulties, chat with tech support, and we'll do our best to assist you. You can turn on live transcription, it's like closed captioning, on or off, by hovering over the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen and click Show Subtitle or Hide Subtitle. An FYI that music selected as a part of this plenary will include profanity about 3 times. And throughout this plenary, there will be conversations about harsh realities, such as violent harms done to Black and Indigenous people. I believe my sound cut out there for a second, so I'll say that last part again. An FYI that music selected as a part of this plenary will include profanity about 3 times. And throughout this plenary, there'll be conversations about harsh realities, such as violent harms done to Black and Indigenous peoples. Tonight's plenary speaker, our minister this evening, is Daquanna Harrison. It is with great excitement that I am introducing Daquanna. She is a highly accomplished individual and a powerful minister. I was tempted to read you all her full bio as part of this introduction because it's so full and juicy, but I'm going to leave you all to pursue it in your own time as we don't cut it into our precious time with Daquanna here tonight, especially as we're starting a little late. I met Daquanna last year when she led a workshop at the 2024 gathering entitled How Will Quakers Change the World Again? I was awed by her ability to hold a strong container in which to bring her ministry, a ministry which I saw as speaking to the heart of the continual revelation that is being unveiled in Quakerism today. This year's theme, A Spring Whose Waters Never Fail, is drawn from Isaiah 58. This passage calls out the devout for their shadow interpretations of faithfulness. It speaks of undoing the yoke of oppression and ceasing to point the finger and speaking wickedness about one another. Only then, the passage tells us, shall we have access to the spring whose waters never fail. I see Daquanna doing and calling for this work in our Quaker communities and beyond. As a member of this year's Gathering Plenary Committee, it is an absolute honor to be welcoming Daquanna Harrison to bring her ministry to us this evening. Let's settle into worship, and Daquanna, whenever you are ready, we're ready for you.
I am not afraid of what I came here to do. I'm made of stardust. We are not afraid of what we're called now to do. We're all made of God's. As you hear my ministry today, it will include music. We ask that you turn your volume up as the music, some of it may sound low due to some technical issues.
Before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I gotta make up mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And it just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Just as fill up the sky.
However, you see and experience spirit, light, be it through one of the major religious books like the Quran or Bible, or through the writings of Octavia Butler, or as the presence of your ancestors, or as the whisper of the trees and the wind in nature. However this experience and understanding sits in your body, I hope that in your times of joy and in your times of need, you find solace in it. I invite you, even if only during this conversation with me, I invite you to consider that there is a spiritual realm and a human realm. And those two realms get to intermingle and connect during worship. I invite you to consider that in worship, we are opening a portal to the spiritual realm. This opening, made through worship, is purposeful and intentional. And most of all, for humans, it is time when we are aware and awaiting messages from the spiritual realm. I believe that the spirit comes to us first as internal feelings and as a whisper. Next, it's a tap. Preceded by that is a nudge, and then a slap and a punch and a kick and a flood, etc., etc., moving you more and more specific through specific actions to try to get our attention. Internally, we have many early warning systems that we are so detached from that we no longer feel, or that we now misjudge and have learned to completely ignore. At a personal level, it may have been learned behavior from our upbringing. At a social level, it may be the learnings of our caste system that reminds us that someone's skin, educational level, genitals, comfort with English, or economic status matters more than who the person is and what their purpose is in this world. These personal and social systems push against our internal systems that we were made with, that the spiritual realm uses to remind us of what we are here to do. Disconnecting with those feelings, with those emotions, not allowing your emotions to show up, staying only in your head and in logic, relegating yourself to a small snippet of allowable emotions, or allowing yourself to only show the most extreme of the emotions, are all misaligned with the spiritual realm, showing you your way forward, showing you what you are here to do. And so, by the time the spirit whispers to you your truth, you have already missed multiple internal messages that the spirit has delivered. And often we can't hear the spirit. We can't hear the spirit because we're not in worship. We haven't conducted some spiritual ritual, because we're not sitting with our feet grounded, because we haven't settled our active brain, because the person giving ministry is too loud, too quiet, or too emotional. Because we are not attuning ourselves to the spiritual world, because our human ego and many Quaker and other religious practices make us believe that we are only given messages when in meeting, when things are just so, and have led us to believe that we are only affected by the spiritual realm when we, the humans, open it. What ego? Because of that, the spirit's whisper means nothing. That tap on the shoulder with the spirit saying, look over there, look at that person's humanness. Look over there, see how our environment is being treated. We don't even know how to look. And those of us who turn our heads towards it don't know what to do when we see it. A majority of us shed our responsibility, push it off to someone else. We might even feel good when we figure out how to make it a message in our next meeting for worship. Using our places of worship not to uplift problems and find allies towards solutions, but instead using our places of worship as a way to hide in the numbers, to shrink ourselves behind committees, to shrink away from the spirit and what the spirit has shown us is ours. We say no, we ignore it. We wait for that tap to turn into a nudge, a slap, a punch until we cannot take it any longer. And we either stand up and do something about it, or we get mad at spirit. And we get mad at the harmed groups for showing us their pain, for pushing us to see the truth. Why can't we move when the spirit moves us? The Spirit says, when I move, you move. And for many of us, the response is often, not me. What about them? How about her? Him over there? What has Spirit tried to move you to do, to care for, to make a difference about that you have not moved on? This query is an internal query. Go inside and attune yourself to what is being moved in you. What has the spiritual realm been illuminating in you? What is that spark inside? We're going to do a few moments of worship on these queries, but I hope that they stay with you and stay in your heart throughout this evening, because our worship will be short. Let's worship. Marcel Martin reminds us of how our Quaker ancestors, early Quakers to some, how they introduced our faith to others through the refiner's fire. She writes, they were quick to tell people how to discover the light of Christ within. Look into your conscience, they counseled. If you pay attention to what makes your conscience uneasy, you will discover that the light within your conscience illuminates how inwardly you resist God. If you persist in looking at what is revealed, you'll see more and more clearly, possibly to your surprise, how thoroughly you have been under the sway of fear, uncontrolled desire, negative emotions, distracting mental processes, deceitful manners, unjust social practices, greed, and pride. What I want is to make sure to translate here. What I just spoke about, and hopefully what you just did when considering these queries, is similar to what our early Quakers were talking about, our Quaker ancestors. So while I use words such as spiritual realm, and our Quaker ancestors speak of Christ and God, which I'm sure many of you are still comfortable with, while they spoke of light within your conscience, I speak of internal systems that the spiritual realm uses that eventually turn into outward presentations made to move you. That fire that is in you, it is of you, and you have access to it all the time. We have to be able to attune to however the spirit, God, your ancestors, the trees, the winds give us messages. These messages are not stuck in a book. They do not come only when in meditation. I and many others who have seen generations of harm must believe that it is in our living that messages come. It is in the moments when you look up at the night sky and see the stars and peacefully consider the vastness of the galaxy. While only a few hours earlier, that same night sun, that night sky, was looked up at with terror, hoping and praying that a drone does not come down and wipe out yet another section of their city, does not come and take away another group of their family members. It is in both of those moments that messages can come from the spiritual realm and tell you to move. We are missing messages because of the messenger. We are dimming our lights for fear of what people may think of us. Free yourself from the fear that the world, your family, your beliefs have placed on you. I am not afraid of what I came here to do. I'm made of stardust. You are not afraid of what you came here to do. You are made of stardust. We are not and cannot be afraid of what we're called now to do. We're all made of God. There are some of us who are attuned to our inner selves and who were given the access to understand our light, the fire, early on and deeply, giving us prophetic voice. Some may call us portal openers, oracles, realm crossers, those with a thin veil, truth tellers. We were given courage and a known and understood protection as we go through life, being what Bayard Rustin asked us to be, angelic troublemakers. We need troublemaking angels. We need angels. But what if those angels don't look like, don't talk like, don't act like what you expect them to? Will you be able to hear them?
In dystopia for a discount, the doctors doing dirty work, the prisons doing miscounts, the ops and the top shot callers having sit downs. The goal is to get down with the get downs. If God bless America, then God bless a Babylon. They built a ladder to a satellite, then rounded up the chattel through a saddle on. Threw us in the battle just to settle on 40 acres. I know dudes that never even had a lawn. Come on now, 40 days, yet another monsoon. They gotta fix Jackson, fix Flint sometime soon. How they finna get rid of guns? I need mine soon. Every reparation but ours, I need mine soon. They built a ladder out of people, they some heavy steppers. They left some people underwater, they some levee steppers. Then they dip like the gyro with the heavy peppers. Took our faces out the book, I call it heavy metal. Lord God, protect the class from the soldiers that come from patrolling in the schools to control us. They got a pipeline from the stroller to the holding while your counterparts loaf and keep scrolling, keep trolling. The rain won't let up, the pain won't let up. Some days I'm underfed, some days I'm fed up. Some days I lay in bed, grief fills my head up. I start to feel set up, the heart getting wet up. When the rain falls, every roof gets inspection.
The rain is falling, y'all. The rain is falling. Adrienne Marie Brown writes of social justice fanatics. Resilience is unveiled when we are triggered, injured, heartbroken, attacked, challenged. Anybody felt like that lately? I'm curious about our general resilience as social justice actors in a traumatizing world, and as collectives of people shaping the next phase of human evolution. Remember, y'all, we will be someone's ancestors. One core practice of resilience is transformative justice, transforming the conditions that make injustice possible. Resilience is perhaps our most beautiful, miraculous trait. Our oracle, Octavia Butler, says, there's no single answer that will solve all of our future problems. There's no magic bullet. Instead, there are thousands of answers, at least. You can be one of them. You can be one of them if you choose to be. We just have to make that choice. And it is now that that choice is up ahead of us.
Yeah. I asked a question like this. Are we a lost generation of our people? Add us to equations, but they'll never make us equal. She who writes the movie on the script and the sequel. So why ain't the stealing of my rights made illegal? They keep us underground, working hard for the greedy. But when it's time to pay, they turn around and call us needy. My ground too heavy, like the Queen Nefertiti. Give me back my pyramid, I'm trying to free Kansas City. Mixing masterminds like your name, Bernie Grubbin. Well, I'ma keep leading like a young Harry Dubbin. You can take my wings, but I'm still gon' fly. And even when you edit me, the booty don't lie. Yeah, I keep singing, I'ma keep writing songs. I'm tired of Marvin asking me what's going
So
on.
tired.
March to the streets, cause I'm willing and I'm able. Categorize me, I defy every label. And while you selling dope, we gon' keep selling hope. We rising up now, you gotta deal, you gotta cope. Will you be electric sheep, electric ladies, will you sleep? Or will you preach?
Thank you, Janelle, for asking. I will preach. So let's go. Y'all thought I was preaching already? Haha. The people that we uphold as heroes, humanitarians, justice leaders, etc., were considered fanatics during their time. Not because they were doing or trying to convince others about was in itself fanatic, but because they were ignored, ostracized, and made to look fanatical. There were people, of course, there were people who believed in what John Woolman did, what Benjamin Lay professed, what Frederick Douglass championed, what Baltimore Yearly Meeting, and I'm sure other yearly meetings, Indigenous Affairs Committee pushed for. The list goes on through hunger strikes, divestment campaigns, Vietnam protests, Abu Ghraib op-eds, nuclear proliferation policies, etc., etc. Most of the most important work of peacekeeping, abolitionism, disarmament was and is being done by a small group of people. And I wonder what would happen if that small group grew larger faster. Like if we look at a major point in history and the people who are on the right side of justice had support and backing for their leadings early on, what would have happened? Let's use our imagination. What would have changed for our Black, white, and Indigenous if early abolitionist ministries were taken up by their Quaker and local communities as community leadings, not individual leadings? Where would America be if instead of 10 generations of slavery, there was only 20 years, just one generation? 50 years, 2 generations, I'll give you 100 years, 4 generations. Where would we be right now? Really consider this, because our Quaker ancestors had enough standing and pull to have made this happen if they really saw that of God in all humans. Would the Civil War even had happened? What could have come of the 620,000 people lost in that war if there was no war? Could the 3,445 Black people and 1,297 white people who were lynched up through the 1960s have possibly changed the direction of our country if they had not been lynched? Could America right now be having a different outcome if throughout history those social justice fanatics were supported? We don't know. But I have something to offer as a baseline. What I can contest to is that while my friend's great-great-grandmother gave money to start a teaching college in North Carolina, several generations later, my grandma and her oldest boys were digging potatoes in 1950s, digging potatoes by hand in South Carolina on a white man's farm, being paid less than $1 for 50 to 100-pound bags of hand-dug potatoes. And the difference between our families, that is my family versus my friend's family, who is also African American, was that my friend's family was manumitted, was freed, was no longer held in bondage by our Quaker ancestors, their Quaker enslavers, about 3 generations before my family was freed through emancipation. And I'm sorry to say that's not a Quaker win. With all the power that Quakers had in the making of America and our laws, it was through ignoring the spiritual realm and by othering and damning of the early abolitionists who were the oracles and the truth teller of their time, rejecting their vocal ministry, leading our Quaker ancestors to not upholding that of God in all, but instead upholding that white people were better than Black and Indigenous people, that my friend's family even needed to be manumitted or freed, and that my family was not freed until 620,000 people died, most of them dying to keep us as slaves. While we cherish our abolitionist past, we must ask, what would have happened if Quakers did not take 100 years to disavow slavery? And why did those Quakers allow for another 150 years to go by without banding together with other abolitionist groups and ending it in America? Many of our Quaker ancestors chose to uphold financial and social success for over 100 years while ignoring the needs of those suffering and ignoring the prophetic voices of their fellow Quakers, who insisted that Quakers see that of God in the enslaved people. Instead, many of our Quaker ancestors put Quakers and others' comfort first. The comfort in their meeting house, as not to lose favor towards their weightiness. Comfort through unity in the meeting. Comfort of jobs that they only got because while they left England, because they did not want to tip their hat to higher born and higher rung people above their caste, they gladly came here and joined the newly created caste system where hats were not tipped, big win there, but instead backs were whipped for not calling them sir. Our Quaker ancestors turned an eye away from God in those people towards supporting the damning of human beings to show they were deserving of jobs, to keep their wealth, to keep their wealthy Quakers in their meeting houses, to ensure that their stature in life and in community was upheld so that they could rise even higher in American caste system. We, right now, we all have a fork in the road, as our Quaker ancestors did, where we must decide if our jobs and our wealth and our comfort is more important than others' freedom. I know it is not easy, and it may be hard for some of you to critically look at our Quaker ancestors in this way. And some of you are thinking right now, this woman is a fanatic. But it is important to have this critical lens because we will be someone's Quaker ancestors. And those people, our descendants, will look and ask, what did we do in 2025? How did we respond to the refiner's fire? Because we surely need to have a response. So don't waste your time wondering about me. I am clear that I'm a fanatic about people's freedom and about social justice. The question you need to ask, the question you need to answer is whose voice, whose needs, whose well-being, whose death, whose extinction is your comfort worth? What are you doing to uphold your status while damning others? Our 44th president, President Obama, said the best way to not feel helpless is to get up and do something. Don't wait for good things to happen. If you go out and make some good things happen, you will fill the world with hope. You will fill yourself with hope. And I am so sorry, but on this one, I will be going against President Obama. Hope is not nearly enough. We need movement, we need action, we need power, we need fearlessness. And we need maybe the fear of what will happen if we do not act. We need your fire, not your hope. When I was asked to speak at this gathering, I was weary. I knew I could not just speak. I didn't want to come and just remind us that our Quaker ancestors didn't do enough. I couldn't bear just coming here and sing, listen to spirit and follow your heart. I could not come before you and simply talk about you needing to move and you needing to do, and you needed to use your fire without giving you a way to do so. So we will have breakout groups in one moment. You have a chance here today to hear how others are doing the hard spiritual work in this human realm. And then you have the chance to join up with them and support their work. I bring forth to you 6 organizations doing work for very important issues. I thank each of these organizations for their work and agreeing to be a part of this plenary. Everyone is asked to go into a room. Don't worry if you want to connect to more than one of these rooms or organizations. You'll have a form that you can fill out to ask any of these organizations to contact you. It is okay if you do not see your main focus issue. Go into a room, listen, and see if it stokes your fire. Or just go in there and gather information for others, such as your family, your friends, or your meeting. You will have 25 minutes in the room. And when we return, I will have some final, really important questions to ask that I hope will light your fire even more. I will let my tech team take over now. Thank you again to all the organizations, for each of you, for your work that you do for our nation and across the world. Thank you for your work within Quaker Spaces and helping us to continue to live into the light. Thank you to each of you who are on right now. Hopefully you've been able to listen to your inner voice and grow your fire. As MLK wrote in his letter from Birmingham jail, we know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly, I've yet to engage in a direct action campaign that was well-timed in the view of those who have not suffered duly from the disease of segregation. And I would add, the disease of xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, femicide, and the now metastasized cancer that has for decades been ravishing our democracy. MLK goes on to say, for years now, I've heard the word wait. It rings in the ears of every Negro with piercing familiarity. This wait has always meant never. This is not the time to wait. No, you are not allowed to wait out these 4 years. No more waiting. Bring your fire. Bring your fire. We can no longer continue to wait for power to relent and simply be shared. I ask you to ask yourself, what will spark your fire? Do you have to wait for Emmett Till to change to Shadi Kuri? Or for the Japanese internment concentration camps to this time be filled with South American and Caribbean immigrants in our LGBTQAI community in Guantanamo Bay? Or do we have to wait for the next Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, George Floyd, or Freddie Gray? What will light your fire? Do we have to wait for the genocide that ravished indigenous tribes and clans to hit our Muslim siblings in Michigan, New York, and Texas? Do we have to wait for cities to be lined with hijab-covered scalps? Do we need to see more of our trans siblings' bodies mutilated to death to stand for them? Or shall we join these lynchings and make a day of it as the people did for the 4,400 people who were lynched after Reconstruction? Do we need to see the pain to light your fire? Do we need another mother to bear the pain of an open casket of her tortured son to light your fire? Do we need a bloody Sunday to do the work of cherishing the God in all? What will light your fire? We need your fire.
This is not a popularity contest. What you hear me say, this is not a popularity contest. I am only here to call black women to their own action. And if you happen to be black, if you happen to wear the label of girl, if you dared to live long enough to become a woman, if you ever had to argue that you are no less deserving than your white counterpart, if you have ever been inspired by the magic of a black woman with thighs and asses that move mountains in their stride, if you speak from the thick lip of your own truth, if you have ever been called girl like it was a dirty word, like it was an insult, if you have ever been called a bitch, you step forward. If you are itching to light a fucking bonfire in the house of the white patriarchy, come stand with us now. If you want to be free like Harriet Tubman, weapon in hand, wading through unfriendly waters, her power compelling the freedom of even those who did not want to be free. If you desire to be confrontational like Sojourner Truth, if you wish to be audacious like Audre Lorde, antagonistic like Angela Davis, gangster like Winnie Mandela, angry like Assata Shakur, come roar with us in the corner, sit beside us in schools, chant with us in church, vote with us and for us at the poll, travel with us in public, in the virtual, in the flesh, over these waters they have used against us as weapons across the lands of this rock we all call home. Let us use our fire to crack this ground wide open with an uprising that they have never seen before, that they will never see again, that will never ever die down. No more water, the fire next time. No more water, the fire next time. When we say no more water, give me the fire next time.
The wait must be over. Because the weight of the pain is unbearable. If the marginalized people just on this call came on screen and released the dams that we have created to hold our pain, to hold our trauma, to hold our tears, to hold our rage, as a community, we could not handle it. Those of us who have been harmed are tired of you waiting. We have kept all of that in our bodies so as to not unleash the fire within. But now we bring our fire. We bring our fire as an offering to light yours. The question you need to answer is, are you my people? How will you use your fire to show your trans siblings that you are their people? How will you use your fire to show those with sun-kissed, melanin-laden skin that you are their people? How will you tell and show those who sit in ravished reservations that you are their people? How will you use your fire to show those who display or have feminine traits, those who speak with a different tongue, that you are their people? How will you use your fire so that the future Quakers look back at us in our actions here and now and revere our work as spiritual work, and see our fire as the refiner's fire? A fire that took what was fear and pain and harm and disdain and violence and burned it to release the true sense of the human realm that gives rise to care, compassion, respect, and love. I cannot talk for each of us, but I can say for myself, I don't mind if I lose blood on the way to salvation. I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die, because I have no choice. I have never had a choice not to fight. So I'm going to get up. I'm going to take my people with me. And the question that you must answer is, are you? Are you my people?
Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river.
Stand up.
Do you hear freedom calling?
I hope you hear freedom calling you, because these are my people. Stand up. It is time. We have lost the chance to wait. We no longer have the ability to sit aside. We have seen time and time again democracies fall, people be harmed. What we don't understand is that so often there are people who have been underwater and can no longer stand. They have been treading water. If you are not treading water, we need you. We cannot last if you stand aside. So I am asking you to stand up. I am asking you.
And I fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going
I don't know if it's loud for y'all, but it's loud for us
to a
in
brand
here.
new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on.
Y'all, thank you so much.
What's around the bend?
I am prayerful that those who needed to hear had ears unplugged. Those who needed to see had eyes open. That we're leaving tonight better than where we started. Ready to uphold freedom for all. Ready to acknowledge and see that we can no longer say that we are going to be silent watchers. As Quakers, our silence is deadening. We have so much power, so much strength, so much love, so much care that we can bring to this world. And I hope that you understand your space, your place in it. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Daquanna.
Thank
I'm going,
you.
I'm going to drop in the chat a link for the music shared tonight, and also a link to communicate with Daquanna if you feel so moved to do so. I'm reminded as I close us tonight of a friend who said when we're in worship, it's like our hands are outstretched and we're collecting milk, precious milk. And as we get up from worship, we have to be careful not to just break our hands and spill it, but to keep holding it as long as possible. Daquanna has set us on fire. And I pray that each of us stay ablaze as we leave tonight and carry it forth throughout our lives. Gratitude, Daquanna. So much gratitude.